the day they left us behind. The stars had never looked so cold. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Luna Base, watching the last Galactic Council transport ship disappear into a quantum fold. No farewell ceremony, no explanation, beyond the clinical message that still echoed in her mind. Effective immediately, all Council support and protection of Earth is terminated. Species classification, quarantined. Reason, incompatible development trajectory. 3 years. That's all the time humanity had been given as provisional members of the vast interstellar community. 3 years of wonder, of learning, of believing we had finally found our place among the stars. Now, in a single moment, it was over. The first 48 hours after the abandonment were the worst. Earth's newly integrated systems, heavily dependent on Council technology, began failing one by one. Power grids flickered and died. Medical facilities lost access to alien medical databases. Transport networks ground to a halt. The very infrastructure that had lifted humanity into a new golden age crumbled like sandcastles before a tide. Chen watched the chaos unfold from her command center. New York went dark first, then London, Tokyo, Mumbai. Panic spread faster than information. Governments scrambled to maintain order as citizens demanded answers that no one had. The carefully constructed illusion of human advancement shattered, revealing how utterly dependent Earth had become on Council generosity. President Martinez's voice crackled over the emergency channel. All military and scientific personnel, report to designated crisis centers. We're activating the Unity Protocol. The Unity Protocol had been a theoretical last resort, a plan so extreme it had never been seriously considered. But as Chen made her way to the secure briefing room, she knew humanity had no other choice. The Council hadn't just abandoned Earth, they had crippled it, left it to die in the dark. Dr. James Okafor was already in the briefing room when Chen arrived, his usually cheerful demeanor replaced by grim determination. "The situation is worse than we thought," he said without preamble. "They didn't just leave. They sabotaged their tech before departing. Everything with a Council signature is either dead or dying. Can we reverse engineer what's left?" Chen asked. "Some of it, maybe. But Sarah, we're talking about technology centuries ahead of us. It would be like asking medieval blacksmiths to repair a fusion reactor." General Hassan entered the room, his face a mask of controlled fury. "Then we don't repair, we rebuild, from scratch if necessary." The Unity Protocol was simple in concept, staggering in execution. Every nation on Earth would pool resources, knowledge, and personnel. Old rivalries would be set aside. Every scientist, engineer, and innovator would be mobilized. Humanity would forge its own path or die trying. The first breakthrough came from an unexpected source. While cataloging abandoned Council equipment in Mumbai, a team of engineers discovered something remarkable. The aliens hadn't been as thorough as they thought. Hidden in the quantum static of their departed technology were echoes, data fragments, partial schematics, incomplete algorithms. "It's like they left breadcrumbs," Dr. Priya Sharma reported during a global conference call. "Not enough to rebuild their tech directly, but enough to understand the principles. We can use this." Work began immediately. In underground facilities across the globe, humanity's brightest minds attacked the problem with desperate ingenuity. They couldn't replicate Council technology, but they could create something new. Hybrid systems that combined human innovation with alien principles. The first successful test came 6 months after the abandonment. In a converted missile silo, in Nevada, Dr. Jiang Wei activated humanity's first indigenous quantum power core. It was crude compared to Council standards, inefficient and unstable, but it worked. For the first time since the lights went out, humanity had taken a step forward on its own. News of the breakthrough sparked something more valuable than any technology: hope. Volunteer centers overflowed with applicants. Children who had dreamed of becoming Council technicians now aspired to be human engineers. The species that had nearly collapsed in despair found new purpose and defiance. Chen found herself at the center of another initiative, the Human Defense Force. If the Council could abandon Earth so easily, what would stop hostile species from taking advantage? Earth needed protection, and it would have to provide its own. The first human-built warship was christened Resilience. It was ugly compared to the elegant Council vessels, all harsh angles and exposed systems. But it was ours. Its weapons were kinetic, not energy-based. Its shields were electromagnetic, not gravitational. Its engines ran on controlled fusion, not exotic matter. By Council standards, it was primitive. By human standards, it was a miracle. As Resilience underwent its shakedown cruise around Jupiter, Chen received a message that changed everything. A deep space sensor array, one of the few Council systems still partially functional, had detected something. Multiple quantum signatures, approaching Earth space. "They're coming back," General Hassan said during an emergency meeting. "Maybe to check if we're extinct, maybe to finish the job if we're not." Chen looked around the table at faces hardened by 2 years of struggle. Scientists who had revolutionized human technology, engineers who had performed miracles with scrap and determination, soldiers who had trained for threats they could barely comprehend. "Let them come," she said quietly. "They'll find we're not the same species they abandoned." The Human Defense Initiative had grown beyond anyone's imagination. 7 warships now patrolled Earth space, each one an improvement on the last. Luna Base had been transformed into a fortress. Mars Colony, once dependent on Council life support, now thrived on human-built systems. Most importantly, humanity itself had changed. The crisis had done what centuries of appeals for unity had failed to achieve. It had made Earth truly one world. Resources flowed where needed. Knowledge was shared freely. The old divisions of nation and creed seemed petty in the face of species-wide survival. Dr. Okafor's research had yielded perhaps the most significant development. By studying the quantum echoes left in Council technology, his team had cracked the mathematical basis of faster-than-light communication. Humanity could now listen to the galactic network, though they remained locked out of active participation. What they heard was illuminating. The Council's official records listed Earth as failed integration, species terminated. They had written humanity off as dead, another primitive culture that couldn't survive without guidance. The approaching ships weren't a rescue mission or an invasion force. They were a cleanup crew, coming to salvage what remained of Earth's resources. Chen smiled grimly as she read the intercepts. The Council was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength had never been its technology. It was its ability to adapt, to overcome, to transform challenge into opportunity. As the alien ships drew closer, Earth's defenders took their positions, not with the desperate fear of a cornered animal, but with the calm confidence of a species that had stared into the abyss and chosen to leap forward instead of falling back. The Council had abandoned humanity to force its extinction. Instead, they had catalyzed its evolution. They had left Earth to die in darkness. They would return to find it blazing with new light, the light of human ingenuity, determination, and an absolute refusal to surrender. The stars no longer looked cold to Sarah Chen. They looked like challenges waiting to be met. When they returned to find Lion's 2 years, that's how long it took for the Galactic Council to remember Earth existed. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's newest warship, watching the Council fleet emerge from quantum space. 20 ships, each one a masterpiece of alien engineering that made human vessels look like rowboats beside cruise liners. But appearances, Chen had learned, could be deceiving. Council fleet is transmitting standard salvage protocols, Lieutenant Torres reported. They're scanning for debris fields and radiation signatures consistent with civilizational collapse. Let them scan, Chen replied. Maintain position, all ships, hold formation. The human fleet was smaller, 8 vessels arranged in a defensive sphere around Earth. But these weren't the desperate constructions of 2 years ago. Each ship was a testament to human innovation, incorporating hybrid technologies that even the Council's advanced sensors would struggle to identify. The first, Sign of confusion came when the Council's scans found healthy cities instead of ruins. Where they expected darkness, they found lights. Where they anticipated silence, they detected billions of life signs and a thriving technological civilization. Incoming transmission, Torres announced. It's Ambassador Vexahai. They're requesting immediate communication. Chen had met Vexahai once during humanity's brief membership in the Council. The crystalline being had been polite but condescending, treating humans like clever pets who had learned amusing tricks. She wondered how he would react to what Earth had become. Put him through. All ships maintained defensive posture. The main screen flickered to life, revealing Vexahai's geometric form. His crystalline segments, which normally pulsed with calm blues and greens, now flickered with agitated oranges and reds. This is impossible. Vexahai's translated voice carried disbelief. Earth was classified as terminated. Your species lacked the capability to survive without Council support. And yet here we are, Chen replied evenly. Alive, thriving, and very curious about why a Council salvage fleet has entered our sovereign space without permission. Permission? Vexahai's form brightened with indignation. Earth is a quarantined world. You have no sovereignty to check. Your sensors again, Ambassador. Earth's quarantine ended the moment you abandoned us. What you see before you is an independent human civilization that has chosen its own path. The silence that followed was profound. Chen could imagine the frantic discussions happening aboard the Council ships as they processed this impossibility. Their sensors would be detecting energy signatures that shouldn't exist, technologies that seemed familiar yet alien, and a level of advancement that defied their projections. We demand an explanation, Vexahai finally said. How have you achieved this? What technologies have you stolen? Which species aided you in violation of Council law? Dr. Okafor's voice came through Chen's earpiece. Commander, they're conducting deep scans of our systems. They're particularly interested in our quantum cores. Chen smiled. No theft, Ambassador. No aid. What you see is human innovation. When you left us to die, you forgot one thing. Humans have been solving impossible problems since we learned to make fire. We simply applied that talent on a larger scale. The tactical display showed Council ships breaking formation, moving to surround Earth's defenders. It wasn't quite an attack posture, but it wasn't friendly either. Your advancement is concerning, Vexahai said. The Council must investigate. We will board your vessels and you will do no such thing. Chen's voice carried steel now. You forfeited any authority over humanity when you abandoned us. If you want to talk, we talk as equals. If you want to investigate, you ask permission. And if you want to threaten, she paused, keying a command. Well, let me show you what 2 years of human ingenuity can accomplish. Every human ship simultaneously activated their primary weapons systems. Not the elegant energy weapons of Council design, but something entirely different. Graviton pulse cannons, quantum torpedoes, and of course the newest additions. The weapons powered up with a harmonious hum that carried through space itself. The Council ship's shields flared in automatic response, but their sensors would be, screaming warnings about unknown weapon signatures, unable to calculate threat levels for technologies that didn't exist in their databases. Impossible, Vexahai stammered. These readings, these weapons, they're not in any Council database. That's because we invented them, Chen replied. Along with about 300 other innovations your computers won't recognize. The quantum echo drives that let us match your FTL capabilities, the neural net shields that adapt to incoming fire, the crystalline power cores that generate energy from quantum fluctuations, all human designs, Ambassador. All created after you left us for dead. The Council fleet had stopped moving. Chen could practically feel their confusion and growing alarm. The script had flipped. The primitives they'd come to salvage were displaying technologies that challenged Council superiority. We must confer with the High Council, Vexahai said, his form now pulsing with nervous yellows. This situation is unprecedented. Take your time, Chen replied. But while you confer, understand this. Earth is no longer asking for a seat at your table. We've built our own table. The question is whether the Council wants to sit at it. The next hours were tense. The Council fleet maintained their encirclement while Earth's defenders held their ground. But Chen wasn't idle. Using humanity's newly developed quantum communication network, she coordinated with Earth's leadership. President Martinez appeared on her private screen. "How are our guests handling the surprise?" "About as well as expected," Chen replied. "They're panicking. Their entire worldview just shattered." "Good. Phase 2? Chen nodded. "Initiating now." Across the solar system, hidden installations came online. Jupiter's moons revealed fortress bases. The asteroid belt lit up with mining operations. Mars displayed a thriving colony with defensive platforms. In the space of moments, the Council fleet found itself not confronting 8 ships but an entire armed system. But the real shock was still to come. "Ambassador Vexhai," Chen transmitted to the lead Council ship. "I'd like to introduce you to someone." The screen split, revealing another figure. But this one wasn't human. It was Commander Zethri of the Altarian Defense Force, member of a species that had also been abandoned by the Council 3 decades ago. "Greetings, Council dogs," Zethri's translator snarled. "The Altarian people send their regards, and their thanks to humanity for showing us that survival without the Council isn't just possible, it's preferable." Vexhai's form nearly shattered. "The Altarians. But you were classified as extinct. As were the Kandorians," another voice added as the screen split again. "And the Threnodi. And 6 other species you abandoned to die. All of us survived. All of us thrived. And all of us have been watching humanity's remarkable rise with great interest." Chen let the implications sink in. The Council hadn't just failed to destroy humanity. They had inadvertently created the foundation for an alternative to their galactic order. "You see, Ambassador," Chen said quietly, "when you abandoned us, you taught us the most valuable lesson of all. The Council isn't indispensable. Your technology isn't unattainable. Your authority isn't absolute. You're just another collection of species that happen to achieve spaceflight first. But first doesn't mean best, and it certainly doesn't mean forever." The Council fleet was in full retreat now, quantum drive spinning up for emergency departure. But Chen had one more card to play. "Before you go," she said, "you should know that we've been intercepting your communications. We know about the other 12 species you're planning to abandon in the next decade. We know about the resource wars you're covering up, and we know about the failing quantum barriers that threaten 3 of your core worlds." Vexhai's form went completely white, the crystalline equivalent of shock. "How could you possibly—" "Human quantum computing isn't limited by Council security protocols," Dr. Okafor interjected, his face appearing on screen. "Your encryption is based on 12-dimensional mathematics. We're already working in 16 dimensions. Your secrets aren't secret anymore." Chen leaned forward. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to return to the High Council and deliver this message. Humanity is no longer alone. We've formed the Independent Systems Alliance with every species you've abandoned. We don't want war, but we won't accept submission. You can work with us as equals, or you can watch as more species choose our path over yours." "And if we refuse?" Vexhai asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Then you'll face the same choice you gave us. Adapt or become irrelevant. The difference is we won't abandon you. We'll simply outgrow you." The Council fleet vanished into quantum space, leaving humanity's defenders alone among the stars. But Chen knew they'd be back, and next time it wouldn't be 20 ships. "All vessels stand down from combat alert," she ordered. "But maintain defensive positions. Torres, transmit to Earth Command. First contact protocol successful. The Council knows we're not prey anymore." As confirmations came in from across the fleet, Chen thought about the journey ahead. Humanity had spent millennia looking up at the stars, dreaming of joining the galactic community. When that dream was finally realized, it had turned to ash. But from those ashes, something greater had risen. Not just a spacefaring species, but a catalyst for change. Not just survivors, but innovators. not just members of the galactic community but architects of a new order. The Council had returned, expecting to find ruins and extinction. Instead, they had found lions who had learned to build starships, lions who had taught other abandoned species to roar. The stars belonged to everyone now, and humanity would make sure they stayed that way. As Earth turned beneath them, its lights shining defiantly in the darkness, Chen allowed herself a moment of pride. They had done the impossible. They had turned abandonment into opportunity, isolation into innovation, and betrayal into triumph. The Council had thought they were condemning humanity to death. Instead, they had given birth to something far more dangerous to their established order, a species that refused to accept limitations, that transformed every challenge into fuel for growth, and that had learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes, the best way to join the stars isn't to ask for permission. Sometimes you have to forge your own path and invite others to follow. The universe would never be the same, and humanity wouldn't have it any other way.